College of St. Rose has been providing an excellent education to undergrads since 1920. With small classes, students and faculty are given the opportunity to form relationships with each other and create what is known as the St. Rose difference.
Anytime I've had an issue and I've gone to faculty with it, they've always been beyond willing to help me with anything that's been going on.
This is what education is really all about. It's about not just having a professor, but having the environment that really allows students and professors to come together, learn from one another, establish personal relationships, mentoring. You can continue to ask them, how are things going, and point out professional opportunities to them. And that's what you get at a place like St. Rose.
I love this place. I really do. I've become a much better teacher than when I first walked onto this campus in 2002. I've become a better colleague. I've become a scholar at this institution.
During the 2015 winter semester, the St. Rose difference began to deteriorate.
On December 11th, I woke up and the first thing I found out was that my favorite professor, and not just my favorite professor at St. Rose, but my favorite professor of all time, somebody who really, I think, made me who I am, had been laid off.
Students and faculty at the College of St. Rose taking to the street today, protesting the possibility of teacher layoffs and cutbacks.
The college's president is considering a plan to scale back in order to dig the school out of a $9 million hole.
After holding the position for only a year, President Carolyn Stefanko announced a plan to address financial challenges to cut a $9 million deficit. The plan proposed a shift in resources away from less popular programs, bringing significant job losses to the college. By December the 11th, 2015, it was announced that 28 programs and 23 faculty were to be cut.
Students were not included in any of the decision making, and if there isn't democracy, then a leader is just a loose cannon.
In different aspects, like administration aspects, it's very clear that our voices don't matter.
She's taking orders from somebody else, but she's not taking any input from the actual stakeholders of this institution.
With students and faculty left out of the decision-making process, many were left wondering whether their voice even mattered.
It feels like the reasons why I picked St. Rose were all gone.
I know it was hard for students who were in the middle of finals when the announcement was made, and they're sitting in there taking finals with professors that they know, that they love, that they know are not going to be here after a year.
You don't believe it at first, that it seems like people are being knocked out by, they're being killed off like flies. They become just a name in a way.
It's also important to recognize that these folks in a year are losing their jobs unless these cuts are reversed. Some of them will be losing their homes.
Rescind or resign.
Protests were organized on campus, and a vote of no confidence in response to the president's plan became a rallying point for students and faculty to join together against what they felt was a breach in shared governance.
Primary goal with this vote is to put pressure on the upper level administration to abide by shared governance again.
It was a record vote. 120 people voted no confidence.
There's been a trust in the idea of shared governance among faculty, staff, and administration at colleges and universities around the country that this college has had a strong tradition of participating in, and that evaporated very suddenly.
We want to make sure they hear that very, very strong message loud and clear.
Some would think that the cutting of 28 programs and 23 faculty is within the power of the administration and the Board of Trustees. But in reality, this is a gross overstep of the shared governance agreement set between the faculty, the board, and the administration. But what does shared governance actually mean?
Many people think that it means everybody gets a vote on everything, and that's not exactly what shared governance is. Shared governance typically consists of three sets of actors: the faculty, the administration, and the Board of Trustees. The faculty's role is to control, oversee, and deliver a high-quality curriculum to students who are well qualified and prepared to engage in college work.
Our mission as faculty is to be devoted to student learning, and we have the expertise to make those determinations about what that actually looks like.
The administration's job is to make sure that we have a registrar, a bursar, that we have the appropriate decision-making bodies to act on recommendations that the faculty put forth.
The administrative sphere is actually supposed to facilitate what the faculty do in delivering the academic mission of the institution.
The board's role is financial oversight to make sure that the administration is doing its budgeting correctly. And that we are financially sound.
We're not the ones, our salaries are not the ones that are adding to higher tuition costs. It is upper level administrative packages, salary packages, and benefits. And it's also the overuse and the continued escalation of the use of outside contractors.
The faculty did not create whatever budget shortfalls there are. The faculty were doing their job, delivering the curriculum to students. The people who were charged with doing the recruiting and the financial oversight apparently were the ones who had problems. Yet, ironically, it's the faculty who are suffering the consequences for those decisions.
When those jobs are eliminated, services for students deteriorate, And yet, we seem to have money to hire high-level administrators while we're firing faculty.
Data from the Chronicle of Higher Education shows that as of 2015, professors at the College of St. Rose are some of the lowest paid professors in the Capital District and are paid $39,000 less than the national average for a 4-year private school. In 2006, there were 197 faculty positions and 54 upper-tier administrators. By December the 11th, 2015, there were 23 fewer faculty and over 90 administrative positions.
So the faculty as a whole have lost their central role in monitoring and delivering the curriculum. They have lost the respect of the institution after recommendation after recommendation. Motion after motion is either denied, refused, or ignored by the administration.
It was never disclosed to the faculty how much debt we were taking on as a college and what this meant to owe so many millions of dollars to the banks. And that some of this debt was variable rate debt, which meant that we were just bleeding money. And now that it's time to pay the piper, the way in which the structural deficit is being dealt with is with faculty jobs.
This is the way that you get sort of top-down control, is by wresting curricular matters from the hands of the faculty and putting it in the hands of the Board of Trustees and upper-level administrators.
When this happens, academic freedom is destroyed. Professors will constantly live in fear of losing their job because of radically changing market demands say that their area of study just isn't popular at the moment.
When they lay off these full-time tenured professors, they're not going to just eliminate the programs that they teach. They're going to be replaced with, cheap labor. They're going to be replaced with adjuncts.
Adjuncts who are paid on a starvation wage, have no office hours to spend with students outside of class, and have even less negotiating power than full-time faculty, taking away what makes St. Rose different as an institution. Now 23 families are forced to face potential poverty because of these cuts.
It's not easy to get a job as a professor. Not at all. I mean, on average, when you apply for a job as a professor, you're competing against between 150 and 200 something people.
On top of that, most colleges prefer candidates who have never been tenured, and all of the 23 faculty that were cut were either tenured or tenure track, making the job security and the negotiating power that comes along with tenure effectively meaningless.
Once faculty have to fear being fired for what they say, this effectively deprives us of our academic freedom, our freedom of speech, and people become timid.
A large contingent of the St. Rose faculty are already too afraid to speak out against the administration. Many professors have come to the St. Rose Anonymous blog to speak their piece without facing retribution.
I wish there were far fewer top administrators and outside consultants who never speak to any of the faculty and students and to show no interest in the mission of the college.
One day, I was walking across campus, and I saw one of my colleagues who was visibly in pain. And I just went over. I put my arms around her, and she just cried.
I wouldn't just lose my job, but I would lose my calling.
I hope they enjoy their 6-figure salaries and the recommendations of those costly consulting firms.
I feel reduced to a data point in a top-down corporate environment. It's an awfully sad de-evolution of the St. Rose difference.
The deep satisfaction of knowing I belonged at St. Rose as I walk the campus is gone.
So a lack of tenure translates into a lack of shared governance, a lack of freedom of speech, a lack of academic freedom, and a lower quality of education.
On May the 4th, 2016, the American Association of University Professors released an independent investigation on the College of St. Rose.
Findings were pretty clear. The investigatory group found that shared governance on the campus was not engaged by the administration in the termination of employees, particularly tenured employees. The grounds that were stated for those terminations were not sufficient under AAUP principles.
This puts St. Rose on the track to be placed on the AAUP censure list, a list comprised of colleges with rogue administrations that do not recognize the sanctity of tenure and academic freedom within their faculties. There are over 2,000 colleges in America. Fewer than 60 are on the AAUP censure list, potentially leaving a black mark on the St. Rose difference. This is a symptom of the corporatization of higher education. Erratic decisions are made when schools allow corporate interests and a fluctuating market to dictate what programs stay and which go.
And an international meeting of nations was held over in Paris, in which they signed an accord to address the factors that are contributing to global warming to avoid catastrophe. The same week that was going on, our administration got rid of the major in environmental science. That is going to be a growth area. Why would they do that without talking to the faculty? It makes absolutely no sense.
Environmental science was labeled a low-growth program because it had only one student. It was a program that was less than 1 year old and wasn't marketed to any incoming students.
One of our faculty said that she was actually shown a list of what was supposed to be the high-growth programs, and one of her programs that got cut was on that list of high-growth programs. So when the cuts came down, she said, "Can you show me that list again? Because I remember that Spanish was on that list of programs that are expected to grow in enrollment. So why are you cutting that?" They wouldn't give her the list.
Overstepping their boundaries doesn't mean, we're not upset about it because we're saying, oh, you're taking our power away. That's not what it's about. It's about you're taking our ability away to do what we believe in and do what we think is right for the intellectual development of our students.
When we devalue our faculty, we devalue what a liberal arts education is supposed to be. More and more, education has been looked at as job training. But the liberal arts is supposed to expose students to a variety of ideas, not just train someone to do a job, but to imbue a person with a variety of knowledge and skills to become not just a smarter person, but a better one.
I am proof. If I had had my way, I probably wouldn't have taken a math course when I was an undergraduate. It just wasn't my thing. Later on, as an adult, when I began to use those skills, I was very grateful that I had the skills.
And that's what liberal arts education is all about. That's what the humanities are all about. It's not about memorizing these facts or learning these things or learning how to use this piece of machinery or learning how to do this one job. It's about how to prepare your mind for the best thinking it can do.
A lot of students, for example, when they go to high school, they don't take any courses in political science. If we waited for them to demand it, they would never demand something that they don't know that exists. But you offer these classes because very often when students are exposed to these classes, they say, oh, this is the discipline I want to go into.
You really have to trust education to teach you things that you don't know. That's the whole point. That education teaches you more than you expect to find out.
But as of right now, I think the administration, based on what has happened, don't value liberal arts education because they don't see it as like immediate monetary gain to them at this moment.
The administration, the Board of Trustees, and President Stefanko's actions undermine the value of a liberal arts education.
So it's a very apt question to ask, As a student, I'm paying all of this money to go here. I'm taking out significant loans in order to go here. Where is that money going? And what you will see across the nation, and this is empirically the case, is that what we have across colleges and universities is dramatic administrative bloat over the past 15 years.
The financial condition of the college was allowed to deteriorate for years simply because no one basically evaluates the performance of our senior administrators.
We have requested not once but twice that there be a committee set up that is comprised of faculty and board members so that we can communicate directly to the board. That's been denied. That motion was passed unanimously at least twice by the faculty, and it has been refused and denied. Why? Why does the administration and the board not want to have a body, a formal body, to communicate with the faculty?
We're held accountable for what we do. We have to be evaluated by our students. For us to get tenure, we not only have to be evaluated by our colleagues, we also have to have the provost sign off on it. But when it comes to senior administrators, there's a double standard.
There's a very famous saying that is, the only thing that is needed for evil to flourish is for good people to do nothing.
We need students to care about the conditions that their educators are teaching under.
I think the administration needs to know that we are paying attention, that we are concerned, and that we are going to take action to preserve our community as best we can.
And there are so many lives at stake right now, and it's best when we are educated and work together to fight that power, and we do have the power to do that.
Can students change that? Yeah, they can. Because without the students, this place doesn't run.